a volume on Windows. Of course, to do this, you need to be in Disk Management. So I'll right-click on my Windows icon and then click on Disk Management. Slide this up so we can see all the disks in the system. We have disk 0, 1, 2, and 3 in the system. There is no unallocated space available on this disk. Well, let's suppose for some reason I need to create an additional drive. For example, maybe I'm going to store sensitive documents on that drive and I want to implement some permissions that will restrict access severely to that information. An easy way to do that is to create a separate volume and implement those permissions at the volume level. Well, I don't have that option because I don't have any volumes available. One option I do have, however, is to take one of these volumes and shrink it and then create another volume out of the available unallocated space, effectively splitting the volume. For example, notice that the data volume here is 32 gigs in size and it encompasses all of disk 2. Well, we could shrink data down to where it encompasses about 16 gigs, about half of the hard disk drive, freeing up an additional 16 gigs that we can use for a new volume where we're going to put that confidential information. So let's right-click on the data volume and then click on Shrink Volume. So Disk Management decided how much we can shrink this volume. Notice that because data does not have a whole lot of information on it currently, that the shrink process can be fairly aggressive. Here's the size before shrinking, 32 gigs roughly. There's roughly 29 to 30 gigs of available shrink space. So if we go with the defaults, then the data volume is going to be cranked down to just under 3 gigs in size. Now that's a little bit more than we currently want. Let's instead shrink it to about half size. So let's change the amount of space to shrink to 16,384. It's roughly 16 gigs. This is how much space will be unallocated after the shrink. Here's how big the data volume will be after the shrink process as well. Let's click on the shrink button, and we'll wait just a minute while the shrink process occurs. All right, the volume has been shrunk. Data is now roughly 16 gigs in size, and now we have 16 gigs of unallocated space. Let's go ahead and create a new simple volume in the unallocated space. We'll use all of it. We'll assign it drive letter G. Let's give it a volume label of secure. Okay, the new secure volume has been created. We've effectively split the data volume into two. We have our data volume here and our new secure volume here. Which has been assigned a drive letter G. That's it for this demonstration. This demo, we talked about shrinking and splitting a volume in Windows.